Hi guys, today, as you could probably tell, I've been spending pretty much the entire day, and I'm sure you've spent it as well, farming Lucilis, trying to find the easiest comps or the best way to min-max and, I guess get the best sigils. But today's video is going to be somewhat of a PSA, also kind of, I guess, like a guide or a bit of an outline for kind of things that I've learned after the first day, hearing thoughts from other people, and basically some misconceptions that I originally had made and you may have made, and, maybe this will help you. Who knows? But let's get into it. So first and foremost, if you have completed the Lucilis raid, before anything else, congratulations. But the next thing that you're probably curious about is the Alpha Plus, Beta Plus, and Gamma. And originally, when I had read these sigils, they seemed all pretty good. I was very excited just about the fact that, again, it's another thing that isn't worthless. Like, obviously, we have to upgrade these things, even if it is a little bit less creative. But originally, I was very high on Alpha specifically because, again, it increases your SBA gauge. Especially when I looked at, or even when I looked at Beta as well, it decreases your skill cooldowns upon activating your SBA when, the trait's at max. These two looked really great. And my initial thoughts were, wow, I'm going to probably get a max of Alpha and Beta, and then who the heck cares about Gamma? Something that I did not consider, though, was the scaling of damage cap, or the scaling of the damage cap for Gamma, and just really the way that damage, or the way that Gamma works in general. Now, ultimately, I'm still not entirely sure how effective the shield will be here, but I had kind of mistaken the damage cap that you had given, or been given through the base trait that we have associated with here, with what you were actually getting here. This damage cap is just a flat damage cap. It isn't, it's not related to or capped behind or related specifically to skills or normal attacks. It's everything. So that means your SBA, your skills, your normal attacks, your links, everything in between, which is why a build that I think a lot of people have been talking about or a little bit, or have been trying to push, is for a double Gamma build, in addition to maybe something like Alpha, Beta, etc. But it kind of depends on what kind of character you're playing. There are some people that are running a less is more build on characters like Vasaraga or even Zeta. In those cases, maybe you don't need Beta at all, and it might actually make more sense for you to have double Alpha instead of one Alpha and one Beta, which is what I think a lot of people are going to be ending up in combat, or which is what I think most people are going to be running in combination with 2 Gamma. But the idea behind the new sigils is that they're supposed to replace your old damage caps. And in terms of build, I actually want to go into an even bigger PSA because this is something that I had been farming for a lot. But the God build, the cheated in build, whatever you want to call about it, whatever you want to call it, the impossible to achieve build that I had formerly been farming nonstop 24/7, pretty much just rolling down sigils and right stones until like my arms came off, is no longer best in slot because of the way that this build works. Now, obviously, there is some context that you need to have about this, and that's primarily if you find yourself needing other things like defensive sigils, or if you value some other traits. There could be an argument for, again, the right stone build or the old God build of 10-7-5, or some other build being better or more valuable than having double Gamma and Alpha and Beta, or some combination of the 4. But in general, with just the way that things look in terms of scaling, if you do have a max Gamma and the damage cap build, you are gaining 30% damage cap. The shield is decent, I guess, especially with how difficult Lucilis is. But then if you have 15 of Alpha, that's 25% attack damage cap, in addition to, again, receiving the extra damage cap that you would get from, like this as a sub-trait. And then, in theory, you would also gain 45%, you would also gain, oh, it's not 45, 35% skill damage cap, which is also really valuable. Now, to try and put these things as additives is ridiculous, but in terms of effective value, if you don't really need something like Nimble Onslaught, or if you can afford Nimble Onslaught, but you don't need stuff like Cascade, or you don't need quick cooldown, some of these other sigils, or if you're just really lucky and you have stuff like Supplementary Damage 5+ alongside some other really ridiculous traits, then this is where you'll start to see insane value with the Alpha, Beta, Gamma pluses. So before I kind of wrap all this up specifically about the sigils, I do want to just say that in terms of value, I think the most averagely generally good build when it comes to using these 4 sigils, or these 3 sigils in totality of 4, is going to be a build that has some variance between double gamma and double beta, just because, again, if you want to run, say, like 4 alphas, you can't, because alpha only stacks to 30. And in that case, if you still want to increase your damage cap, then you would run 2 gamma, 2 alpha. And the characters that want to do that, again, are kind of niche, or the characters, I should say, or the number of characters that do that is very low compared to the average base. But for those characters specifically, again, Vasaraga, Zeta, to name a few, it is really important that you get the double alpha and double gamma. But again, these are kind of the initial kind of theory tested builds. Ultimately, I don't think most people have even maxed out all of their sigils. A lot of people, just as another PSA, are only upgrading specifically gamma to plus 14, just because you don't actually need 15 with the way that sigil booster works on your terminus weapon. However, if you are going to be using something like double alpha plus, you'll also need this at plus 14. But if you are using beta, or one sigil invested into beta and one invested into alpha, both of these for max value will need to be upgraded to level 15, just because, again, you're not trying to hit 30, you're trying to hit 16. And the only way for you to hit 16, obviously with the addition of sigil booster, is to level up your alpha or your beta to 15. If that's the build that you're running, unfortunately, it is a little annoying to upgrade this or to get to that point. But again, just as a general PSA, that's what was basically discussed. Now, again, I do kind of want to address something that I kind of had to open my eyes to, which is, again, if you guys had not seen it, originally, excuse me, I'm still sick. Originally, what I had seen when it came to the perfect right stone, so the thing that you can imbue your weapon with, it was a combination of a 10 crit stone, or 10 in the main stat position or top value. It was a vitality right stone, alongside 7 damage cap and 5 damage cap, which is extremely rare, extremely difficult to get. And even for myself, the best that I've gotten is either a stun power with 7 and 4 damage cap, or this other one that it feels a little bit bad to talk about it, but hold on, let me just show you guys, because it really is painful. 1 second. Oh, is it here? Where is it? It should be locked. I know, stalling. I'm so sorry. Where is this right stone? What? Yes, there you go. This is the closest that I got to the 1075 right stone. It's a 964, which is kind of like a slap to the face if you think about it. But long story short, the reason why a lot of people were looking for this right stone, especially on characters that had an easier time trying to cap their damage cap, is because effectively what you could do is bypass needing any of the damage caps as your main kind of sigil trait. As you can see here now, I do have gamma and alphas, but originally what I had was stuff like the White Dragon's Oath, or my class sigil with damage cap, crit alongside damage cap, and I basically had no sigils with I had no main sigil trait that said damage cap with my alternative build. And that build was just some like very technical, or it kind of technically gave you additional slot, assuming you had everything maxed. Long story short, if you're looking for that build, if you know the value of that build, it is no longer, in theory, should no longer be as good as gamma, just because, again, in terms of value, the 25%, or I guess what is the value? I believe it should be 20. So the 25% attack damage cap, in addition to the, oh well. Okay, you get it. The different damage caps that you gain, I just realized I don't have beta on me right now. The different damage caps that you gain through alpha, beta, and gamma should make up for the difference. And although you will definitely still overcap with damage cap, the orange damage cap sigil, it doesn't quite matter, especially because you have sigil booster, but it is nice, again, in theory, to not be undercapped on damage cap just because of how the sigil booster thing works. But in all honesty, just from my 2 cents, I don't really understand why sigil booster works the way that it does. It literally incentivizes you to not upgrade your sigils or something. It doesn't really make sense, especially with how Azurite Splendors work. But as my final PSA, before I kind of give my initial thoughts on farming for this fight, and honestly, how I feel a lot of people are probably feeling about the fight, I would honestly, like to say that to the person that decided that you cannot use Azurite Splendors on these sigils and make us farm Azurite or farm out these new sigils, what's going on? Because it's crazy. Azurite Splendors were really difficult to get. You know, a lot of people were doing Slimepeed and they were getting 5 at a time, but now we have an infinite amount of Azurite Splendors, but now we can't even use it on the new sigils, which is quite frustrating. And I get it, we need like a grind, and this is going to be the thing that people are going to be doing until Siofon or Twian come out. But for whatever reason, guys, we just don't have it. So if you're trying to upgrade characters, this is great. This is like a really nice catch-up mechanic. And for those of you that decided to buy out the store packs that gave you Azurite Splendors or Damascus Ingots, well, not really worth it, honestly, just based off of how many Azurite Splendors and Damascus Ingots I now have. If I just take a look at it, I'm fairly certain I've got 18 Damascus Ingots and 24 Azurite Splendors, excuse me, after basically upgrading any sigil that I could ever think of or want and customizing all my AI. But yeah, guys, in terms of the, in terms of like the way that the fight is positioned and stuff, it's a little bit grindy. I like the difficulty of the fight, to be clear, but I think that the fact that not only do you have to trade in the same material, which is I believe it's a Tear of the Apocalypses, the fact that you need to trade in these like Tears of the Apocalypse alongside using these as the upgrade material for the sigils, it feels a little bit bad. Now, granted, it is kind of nice that you don't really need to upgrade it beyond 14, especially if you're like doubling up and stuff. But just look at this, guys. I mean, like, seriously, if you take a look at this, this is, you, at max, just for reference, you need, I believe it's 3, 2, 1. So it's 6. You need 6 Tears of the Apocalypses. And I will also include here, because I do think it was important, there was a screenshot. Let me see if I can find it. One moment. Well, okay, I won't even look for it here. But there was a screenshot that was kind of detailing the drop rate of the Tears of the Apocalypse. And long story short, there's about like a 30-ish% chance for you to get a singular Tear of the Apocalypse. There's an 8% chance for you to get a 2x drop of the Tears of the Apocalypse. But if I'm not mistaken, you can find all this information on the Nenkai GitHub drop link, which again, I will probably include in the description as well. But just in terms of the raid or the fight in its entirety, very fun. It's challenging, I'll say that. And for some people, that in of itself is the excitement or the challenge. I've seen a couple people now solo the fight, which is insane. It looks really cool. There's people speedrunning it, and it is very enjoyable. There's a few cutscenes and stuff that I don't particularly like. I don't really like the fact that you also can't stun the boss in any capacity, which makes Lancelot half useless with his freeze, but then he's also just the best character in the game because you could dodge all the time, specifically for that fight. But anyways, guys, long story short, I think the fight's cool. I think the drops are also nice. They're a little bit interesting. Again, I wish that the effect was a little bit different, or a little bit more equalized, because I don't think Gamma should just be like the end-all be-all in terms of value. If you want to, again, gain value, I think most people will probably just be upgrading Gamma because of the way that their characters scale and such. Now, whether or not you choose Alpha or Beta is completely up to you, but at least for me, guys, that's gonna be it. I really have been enjoying farming for this thing. I've been enjoying it as, I guess, pretty much as I can, despite not being able to AFK it. It is, you know, the content that you literally cannot AFK no matter what. I've spent like a couple different variations or trying to find a couple different ways of, you know, trying to AFK it, but Vasaraga, whoever it is, just AFKing, loses all their health. You like miss out on all the mechanics. You kind of just get shafted. Unless if I'm missing something in terms of AFKing, this is truly one of the, you have to farm or like, you know, actually grind to get this, you know, to get this end game drop or to get this end game build. And the end game build, although maybe not the most impactful feeling or looking at base, is still something that a lot of people are going to be investing in and playing in. And of course, the fight, it looks great. It looks beautiful. There's some mechanics that look ridiculous. But yeah, those are my initial thoughts on the fight after a day of farming it. The queues online are a little bit ridiculous. And as a final tip, your AI or your friends, guys. Believe it or not, the AI on your team, assuming you have them leveled, are likely going to perform at the exact level, if not much better than a lot of the random people that are trying this fight for the first time. So if you are frustrated, again, you could probably just use some of your allies and kind of double up or, you know, have like a friend of yours that you trust and then use AI. Most of the AI for the fight play it pretty flawlessly. Now, you might have to control their SBA gauge and stuff like that, but, you know, that's it. That's how it is with every fight. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed this PSA. Hope you learned something. I will be streaming again probably, well, at the time of this, probably in a couple hours because I'm going to release it in the morning. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoy. Thanks again for all the support. I appreciate it a lot. Hope you guys tune in. If you guys want help or you need help fighting this, feel free to join me today on stream. If you don't, I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out my Discord, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, all that jazz. I'll see you all next time. Good night, good night. Adios.